Celtics fans, the NBA trade deadline is almost here, a week from yesterday. So we are 6 days away. Before we jump into today's Boston Celtics trade rumors, if you want the Celtics to make a trade, like this video, hit that thumbs up icon if you want Boston to make a move. Big first deadline for Brad Stevens in his new role as this team's general manager. So if you want the Celtics to make a trade, like this video. And with that being said, let's go ahead and jump on into today's Celtics trade rumors. Boston Celtics fans, what's going on? You're watching Celtics Today by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Harrison Graham. And like I mentioned, the trade deadline is fastly approaching. So we'll get you guys caught up on the latest around your Boston Celtics. Let's go ahead and start with Dennis Schroder, a guy we've talked about. I know Chase Sr. has talked about quite a bit on this show over the last few weeks. How about a possibility of going to Chicago? Jake Fisher of Bleacher Report reporting that a framework of a trade with the Bulls is actually already in place. Just comes down to the fact if either two sides will come to an agreement. Schroeder's contract is obviously very tradable, makes him a strong asset with Boston, playing for that just $5.9 million exception this year. It's unclear, I think, overall from Boston's standpoint, if they want to be buyers, sellers, or kind of stand pat, because the Celtics have been playing better basketball over the past couple of weeks. Here's what Fisher had to say. Quote, a framework of Schroeder to Chicago for Troy Brown Jr. and a second-round pick has circulated around the league. So I think that's pretty interesting, knowing that Schroeder's a valuable piece. You could get Brown, who's a decent forward, and a draft pick in return for him. Now, Schroeder is having a pretty solid season. Now, obviously, we've joked on here a few times. He turned down a bunch of money with the Lakers in the middle of last season for an extension. He wanted more money. Obviously, that did not work out, but he's averaging 14.5 points, 4.5 assists, shooting 43+% from the field as well. I think Dennis Schroeder has been a nice little addition for Boston, especially at that trade deadline. Now, I'll say this. If you can get good value back for Schroeder, I don't know if Troy Brown and a second-round pick is good value back, but if you can, or if you think that's good value, then right, you're probably not re-signing him this offseason. He's probably going to make more money on a new contract, especially if he plays well the rest of the way. Could you get a first-round pick for him? If you can, that is something I would definitely consider if I was the Boston Celtics. But again, you're playing better basketball. If you want to try and win this year, make a run in the playoffs, trading Schroeder probably does not help your cause in doing that. So should Boston trade Dennis Schroeder? Get your votes in right now in the comment section. Type T for trade him, or you can type a K for keep him. Let us know what you guys think, if the Boston Celtics should trade Schroeder or not. All right, Celtics fans, Valentine's Day is almost around the corner, and we got a perfect two-shirt combo for your lady out there right now. Chatsports.com/Celtics. Ladies, you get this V-neck short sleeve and long sleeve. It's a perfect gift this Valentine's Day this year. Don't get stuck in the doghouse like I have in the past and forget about Valentine's Day. Your girl might tell you, oh, I don't like Valentine's Day. It's not a big deal. Trust me, it is. They're testing you on that front. Link will be in the comments. It'll be in the description. Chatsports.com/Celtics. Ladies, get this two-shirt combo for your loved ones today. Okay, let's keep it going with the trade rumors. How about Jaylen Brown in a potential offseason trade? Well, a report coming from Heavy.com suggesting that he could seek a trade this offseason if the Celtics don't improve. And the point that the reporter was making is that, well, the Celtics have kind of been stuck in the mud for a couple of years now. They're good enough to make the playoffs, but they're not good enough to make a run. And this, constant Jaylen Brown, Jayson Tatum dynamic continues to be tested. Now, I will say this. It's very unlikely that Brown will get traded before the trade deadline. This would likely be an off-season trade. Here's what Steve Bulpett of Heavy had to say on this one. Quote, the Celtics are said to be listening to all offers on Brown in advance of the February 10th deadline, but barring an unrefusable offer, it's far more likely the potential for fireworks, aka a trade, would come closer to July 4th this offseason. Of course, that's around when free agency gets going late in June and early in July. Second half of the season is huge for Boston for a couple of reasons. One, you're playing better basketball, so if you play well the rest of the way, maybe you can get a top 4 or 5 seed in the East. But also, I think it really could determine what the future of this franchise looks like. Is Jaylen Brown a part of the long-term plan? Is Jayson Tatum going to be the alpha male of this team for the next 15 years? I think you got to figure out what the core of this team looks like moving forward. And I think a lot of that will depend on how this group plays in the second half. So keep an eye on that. Big first coaching year for Ime Udoka. So hopefully things pan out the way Boston wants them to. Now, Celtics fans, I mentioned the trade deadline is quickly approaching. This is the time to subscribe to the best in the fastest growing Boston Celtics channel here on YouTube. Hit that big red button and turn on those notifications, because as soon as we publish a video, if you have notifications turned on, you will get an alert on your phone. So subscribe, share that link below with a friend. It's youtube.com/CelticsTV. Now, Jaylen Brown obviously is a cornerstone player. I don't think anybody is disputing that. Having another good year, 24 points, almost 7 boards, over 3 assists per game, shooting over 45% from the field as well. I think this is a guy you can win with Jayson Tatum, but eventually the Celtics may have to choose. They may have to choose between Brown or Tatum, because I've mentioned this before. While they're good players and while they can play well together, they're so similar that do they maximize getting other players involved? Because the Celtics don't really have a true point guard that does that. So what happens? It's a lot of ISO ball between Tatum and Brown. So eventually you may have to split them up, bring a true point guard in here to help mesh this roster together, even if that means that you're trading a cornerstone type of player in a guy like Jaylen Brown. So keep an eye on this over the next few months into the second half of the season, and of course, into the offseason as well. I don't think this story is going away, especially if we see another early exit for the Boston Celtics. Keep one. If you had to keep one, who you keeping? Type JB for Jaylen Brown, type JT for Jayson Tatum. If you had to keep one of these guys, let me know who you would like to keep in the future. I'd probably have to keep Tatum, but I'm still hoping that it works out for both of these guys to stay in Boston long term. Appreciate you guys for tuning in on today's video. Be sure to subscribe. Like I mentioned, lots of trade buzz, news, and rumors continuing to circulate around your Boston Celtics. The link is below, youtube.com/CelticsTV. We will have you covered with the latest around this basketball team as we inch closer and closer to next Thursday, whether it's myself or Chase Sr. Once again, youtube.com/CelticsTV. We'll see you soon here on the channel.